There are a lot of interesting family movies that were made in the 2000s. One of those movies that I happened to watch a lot as I had it on DVD was Bedtime Stories, a 2008 fantasy comedy film starring and produced by Adam Sandler. Now, I've reviewed one of Sandler's more infamous films, Jack and Jill, in the past, and I remember hating that film as a child. However, while I didn't think Bedtime Stories was groundbreaking, I remember enjoying it enough to watch it many times, so I was surprised to discover its generally mixed to negative reviews. While a film about dreams coming true should be enchanting and whimsical, this product will only mildly entertain in a dull and predictable way. A big-budget Disney fantasy with an all-starish cast of good actors that falls completely flat. I remember the film being weird and a lot of the plot points sort of seemed to come out of left field, but I didn't think it was terrible. But, is Bedtime Stories anything like I recall? Let's find out. Without further ado, on with the review.
Polos is life, 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 sleep all night and then Polos is life.
The film opens with a narration from Marty Bronson, who opens a hotel called Sunny Vista in 1974. His family, including his children, Wendy and Skeeter, help run the hotel and Marty intends for Skeeter to inherit it. Here, we see how imaginative young Skeeter is, which will be relevant to the film's title of course. We also see Marty make up a bedtime story for Skeeter. Unfortunately, Marty is struggling to keep Sunny Vista afloat as he is swimming in debt, so his friend Barry Nottingham, CEO of a successful chain of hotels, convinces him to sell it to him under the condition that Skeeter will inherit it. He's also supposed to be English and his accent is pretty bad here.
If your boy works hard and shows some smarts when he grows up, I'll let him run this place.
Nottingham transforms the hotel into the Sunny Vista Nottingham, and Skeeter ends up working as the handyman. We also get a display of Skeeter's patience here, when an elderly guest named Mrs. Dixon is accused of stealing liquor bottles from her refrigerator.
So we're talking about a leprechaun?
Here you go.
He agrees to pay for the liquor himself, which is very kind of him. The now extremely germophobic Nottingham announces that he intends to close the hotel in order to build a bigger one, named the Sunny Vista Mega Nottingham. He gives the role of manager to Skeeter's rival, Kendall Duncan, who is dating Nottingham's daughter Violet and derides Skeeter. Skeeter then visits Wendy for the first time in 4 years, and this is apparently because he punched her then-husband on the 4th of July. Given that he is now her ex-husband, I'm going to assume he probably deserved it, or at least that's what I think the writers were trying to get at. It's Skeeter's niece Bobby's birthday, and after giving her some dodgy gifts from the hotel, Wendy tells Skeeter privately that they're closing down the children's school, which she is the principal of. Wendy then reveals the real reason she invited Skeeter over. She's going to Arizona for a week to look for a new job. Her friend Jill will take care of the children until the evening, and then Skeeter will need to do the night shift. Although he's initially reluctant, he agrees, and then argues with Jill about his parking skills and his haircut. Skeeter talks to his unusual friend Mickey about the inheritance situation, as well as babysitting Bobby and Patrick, and Mickey has some interesting advice.
And what I do is I let them style me hair, like put beads into it and braid it, make me look all real sexy like Milli Vanilli, stuff like that. Try that.
Okay. Skeeter arrives at Wendy's house to find the children making signs protesting the closure of their school, and unsure what to do with them, Skeeter sends them to bed. We then get introduced to their aptly named guinea pig, Bugsy, who I thought was cute as a kid. Unsatisfied with the stories they have, Skeeter resorts to making up a bedtime story. In a faraway kingdom, a peasant named Sir Fix-a-Lot, who is the son of the late great Lord Marty, is taken for granted by everyone around him. Really laying it on thick there, huh, Skeeter? Sir Fix-a-Lot's rival is a smarmy knight called Sir Buttkiss, and there are 2 pages named Mistress Stinky and Master Smelly. The children assert that Jill should be in the story, making her a fairy. Skeeter doesn't approve, and says she should be an angry raven, but the children then insist on her being a great mermaid teacher. I think this is actually quite cute in a way, as it shows how much the kids love Jill. Much like in real life, Sir Fix-a-Lot is passed over for promotion to run the castle, so Skeeter makes him commit suicide via crocodile. Bit extreme for a couple of sheltered kids, no? Bobby asserts that Sir Fix-a-Lot should at least get a chance to be champion, and Patrick says it started raining gumballs. Skeeter makes the children an appalling breakfast of rice cake, banana and wheat germ, and tries to fix it with some toothpaste. He has to take the children to work with him as Nottingham wants his TV fixed, so he dumps them on Violet, who happens to walk in. Here we learn that Patrick has a crush on a girl named Trisha Sparks, who happens to be 2 years older than him. Nottingham insists on Skeeter working in the dark, as germs apparently produce 80% faster in bright light. I think the opposite is true, but oh well. Nottingham explains to Skeeter that the secret theme he's been working on, with Kendall, for the Sunny Vista Mega Nottingham is vintage rock and roll, but Skeeter explains that's already been used by the Hard Rock Hotel. Nottingham decides to give Skeeter a shot, and promises to give him the new hotel if he can come up with a better theme than Kendall. Shouldn't be too hard. On the way home, Skeeter gets made fun of by a guy with a flashy car, before his truck is attacked by raining gumballs. The actual reason for this is there is a broken down sweets trailer on the bridge above. Skeeter takes the children to his place, and invites Mickey over with a bunch of junk food. They tell a story set in the Old West, where a cowboy named Jeremiah Skeets is looking for a new ride. He visits an indigenous caricature who gives him a red horse named Ferrari for free.
Oh, brilliant story. So he got the Ferrari for free. I love that. Where's the arc? There's no arc. I've not learned anything.
Contradictory, but Mickey's got a point. In Bobby and Patrick's continuation of the story, Jeremiah rescues the Lady Violet from being robbed, and when she tries to kiss him, he's kicked by an angry dwarf. That night, he visits a car dealer and is met by a guy who agrees to give him a cherry red Ferrari for free, before running off with his wallet. Violet is harassed by paparazzi while exiting a nightclub nearby, and Skeeter scares them off by splashing them with water and pretending he has a gun. She goes to kiss him, but he's kicked by a guy with dwarfism, and she goes to leave in her Ferrari. Assuming it's his, he asks her for it, but she understandably gets weirded out. Skeeter realizes the next morning that it's the children's additions to the stories that come to fruition. Kendall disparages Skeeter for his ambitions, even when Skeeter says he intends on employing Kendall if he gets the job. We also learn that the reason the children's school is getting shut down is because their school site is where the new hotel is supposed to be built. That evening, Skeeter takes the children camping on the hotel roof, and they try stargazing. The children want a romance action story, and Skeeter sets it in ancient Greece, centering around a chariot racer named Skeeticus. He's very popular with the crowd, and his display wins the heart of the fairest maiden in the land. Skeeticus and his new girlfriend head to an old tavern, where the girls that bullied him during his childhood are hanging out. They get really jealous when seeing Skeeticus is doing well, and start nervously doing the hokey pokey of all things. I don't know, kids and their imaginations. On the beach, Skeeticus saves a guy from having something stuck in his throat, and they run into a nearby cave when it starts raining. Skeeter starts tweaking when Patrick mentions that Abe Lincoln is in the cave with them, so the kids refuse to continue the story and go to sleep. To his horror, Skeeter finds out that Violet is away at Vegas for the weekend, but he ends up crashing into Jill, who's job hunting. She's very warm with him and offers to get lunch at a nearby bar, where they bump into the girls that bullied him in school. He convinces Jill to pretend to be his girlfriend, and the group suddenly start doing the hokey pokey. Jill and Skeeter naturally head to the beach next, where Skeeter saves the guy from choking. Jill is impressed, and Skeeter correctly predicts that it will start raining any second. In the cave, he invites her to his presentation for the manager position, and it hits him that Jill is meant to be the fairest maiden in the land. Skeeter starts acting weird, expecting Abe Lincoln to show up, but it's just a penny. Like with Violet, this is weird enough to make Jill leave before she kisses Skeeter. For the final bedtime story before the children return to Wendy's care, Skeeter thinks up a sci-fi setting. He intends on using the magic to win the managerial position, but he starts getting screwed over when Patrick makes his self-insert talk like a goofy alien. I've seen enough Star Trek and Star Wars to follow. Nottingham orders Skeeter to battle Kendall in a zero-gravity fight, involving stretchy laser guns, slime monsters, and Skeeter winning but being engulfed in a ball of flames. In one of the film's genuinely funnier bits, Skeeter listens to the radio but keeps hearing songs about fire.
Is this burning and eat?
Skeeter becomes incredibly paranoid, which does not bode well for his presentation, especially as Barry's birthday is Hawaiian-themed and involves a lot of fire. Violet falls in love with Mickey and a bee stings Skeeter's tongue while he's eating ice cream, which gives him trouble speaking. Kendall proposes a Broadway theme for the hotel, with a song and dance number, which most people in the room are horrified by. Despite his swollen tongue, Mickey is able to translate for Skeeter, and he wins over Nottingham with a very sweet and heartfelt presentation, centering around Patrick, Bobby, and his own experiences growing up in a hotel. Skeeter is horrified to learn that the hotel is being built on the children's school site, and is even more horrified by Nottingham's volcano sparkler cake. He sprays an extinguisher directly at Nottingham, and he's fired, and the children and Jill now hate him, assuming he knew about the reason behind the school's closure. Wendy talks to Skeeter about his behaviour, and says she's disappointed that Skeeter wasn't able to lift her children's spirits as she intended. She tells him to visit them in Arizona, and Skeeter receives some inspiration to save the day from a voiceover from Marty. Nottingham's team get ready to blow up the school, and Skeeter manages to talk to the zoning commissioner, who happens to be one of the women he went to school with, and gets the location of the new hotel moved to a beachfront in Santa Monica. However, the demolition will still go ahead, as Nottingham cannot reach Kendall, and Bobby and Patrick are attempting to demonstrate inside the school. Jill and Skeeter steal a motorcycle and race to the school as fast as they can, and we see a montage of them as the different self-insert characters from the stories. This was one of the segments that I remembered the most before revisiting this movie. Skeeter uses a ball swing to decommission Kendall, and announces that the school is saved. Trisha Sparks kisses Patrick and Jill kisses Skeeter, and the new couple opens a motel named after Marty, with Kendall working as waitstaff. So, what did I think of Bedtime Stories overall? It wasn't an offensively bad movie or anything, but it was pretty mid. The cast was kind of surprising to me though. An Adam Sandler movie is an Adam Sandler movie, but Marty was played by Jonathan Pryce, who has appeared on the channel before in The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. Lucy Lawless, who is most well known for playing Xena, also appeared as Aspen, Kendall's girlfriend and colleague. I remembered Courtney Cox, Russell Brand, and Richard Griffiths being in the film. How could I forget those last two characters? And I think the kids' performances were good for what was on the page. Overall, I think the cast is able to balance the film's cartoonish humour with sincerity, although some of the performances do often lean heavily into caricature, rather than having much depth. Kendall Duncan is a pretty standard smarmy bad guy type, for example. I think, deep down, the film has some good messages for kids, like focusing on how storytelling can shape perception, and even influence real-world outcomes. It also touches on themes of family and doing the right thing rather than chasing success for selfish reasons. Skeeter's arc particularly encompasses all of these themes. He begins the story as a disillusioned hotel handyman, resentful about missed opportunities. He is initially motivated by self-interest, and uses the magical bedtime stories to try to secure a promotion and personal success. Despite this, Skeeter encounters repeated setbacks when the stories don't unfold exactly as he expects, which forces him to reassess his approach. Through this, he shifts from selfish manipulation to genuine care, especially in how he interacts with the children. It's sort of rushed at the end, but he does learn that the magic works best when he focuses on others rather than himself. By the end of the story, he has gained confidence, purpose, and a clearer sense of what actually matters, even if it's not exactly what he originally wanted. In summary, I don't think Bedtime Stories is life-changing or anything, but it's not the worst movie ever. The story is pretty predictable, and some of the humour leans a bit too heavily on Sandler's usual style, but the central idea is fun. It's at its best when it leans into the imagination and the kid's storytelling, rather than the corporate subplot. I wouldn't call it essential viewing, but it's an easy enough watch. Well, that's all for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.
The blue and green ones are my favorite kind, but I'll eat the colored ones from time to time. Cause Polos is life, 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 Polos is life. Sleep all night